Last time we left off where I was depressed about YouTube and you had just posted another blog post. Does that sound right?
Sure.
Okay. Um, I believe it, you sent me this thing. Apparently, your blog has like spiked a lot. Like, there's been a whole lot of traffic. Is, can you
Yeah,
talk about that?
over the past week, I it's funny because I don't really have much in the way of insights. I don't have any kind of tracking stuff set up other than just the page views that I get that the CDN provides. It's like just the site that posts my page. So it had, 45,000 unique visitors or so over the past week, but I really don't know where they're coming from. It wasn't Hacker News this time, so it's just out there somewhere, which is kind of actually it's great. I mean, it probably would be a little bit useful to know where those things are coming from, but at the same time, it's like I just don't really have any way to know, so I can't.
Is it just like SEO? Are people just finding it on Google and stuff?
I know zero things about SEO.
Me
Uh,
too.
the only things I've done is try and come up with a good title, and that's all I know. So
Well, I congrats. I never thought, and I don't mean this I don't mean this to be condescending, but I never thought that a little blog that you posted on your website would do anything.
yeah, no,
So
I didn't think so either.
I'm impressed, and I
Yeah,
don't really know what to do with that information. I was kind of jealous when you told me about it, but then at the same time, it's like I don't know where you go with that. If you have a
yeah.
viral blog post, what do you do with that? I don't.
I mean, what one thing that is genuinely great about it is that it is my thing on my site. The domain is something I've paid for, and technically I'm using a service to host the page, but I could host it myself or move it. So it's entirely just my own thing. And it still relies on other platforms like, the Hacker News has given it a lot of attention and everything. And I discovered that there's another pretty popular techie site called Lobsters, which it's gotten posted on and talked about a little bit, but it's all my thing. So like I'm not really relying on any platform, and it's very much tied to me. I mean, it's my company, so my name's not necessarily front and center, but it's still me and my thing. So it feels like I'm just building up this reputation connected with other people type of channel. Similar, although obviously different, but similar to what you're doing, where you're kind of bridging your art to the world. I'm setting up this little connection where people seem to be interested and follow it, and it's great. It's actually really great. Very happy about it.
Are you trying to do one new post a month, or is it every 2 weeks?
Well, I'm doing one new post whenever we negotiate a deadline, and then that's when I post. Once a month is, I think, I would I would be unhappy if it took longer than that. So that's kind of my big, or that's the end of the window. A little bit sooner would be nice, but at the same time, I've been very, very busy doing lots and lots of software development, so I am balancing those two things out. So kind of aiming for once a month, I guess.
Okay. I'm not ready to decide on a deadline yet,
That is totally fine
but
with me. But maybe next week we should decide on a deadline. I mean,
yeah,
arbitrary what it is, but I do think we're gonna have to get another one going here.
I agree. Yeah, next week.
Yeah.
I,
So
I
you
was gonna ask.
go
Wait,
ahead.
hold on. Before we go to me, I want to ask about your other projects because throughout the last couple years, you've talked about your memory app that you were building.
Hmm.
I'm blanking on the name, which is pretty funny, and your food logger app. And I haven't really heard anything about those.
Yeah. The Here's the
Space repetition.
short explanation. The space repetition app called Seriously
That's
has kind of been shelved. which hurts a little bit to say because I put a tremendous amount of work into it, even though there's not necessarily a whole lot to show. Most of that work went into building up the core technology that was built on top of. But still, there's a lot of work specific to the app. I've kind of shelved it. The main reason is that I am personally struggling with spaced repetition, trying to decide how it should work and what it's for. I derived a tremendous amount of value out of it for a while, but a lot of I don't really use it anymore. AI has replaced a lot of the need for it, which kind of sucks to say, but there's so many things that, obscure bits of information. How do I write this particular bash command? How do I do this thing? Where I can mostly just ask AI and it will tell me. So it's like remembering it. If it doesn't take me 10 minutes to find it on the internet, it only takes me 10 seconds to ask. It's like, well, having it memorized seems a little bit less valuable. There's still a lot of questions for me around spaced repetition in general. It it seems like almost everyone using it winds up with a lot of the same complaints, where there's a lot of stuff that's it's relevant and valuable for a while, but then it's kind of not. So how do you filter that out? I don't know. Ultimately, I just haven't been using it and been excited about it. And so that's made me not really want to work on the app, and I want to work on stuff that I'm using and interested in and like have strong feelings about. So that's kind of what happened to Seriously. I'd love to get back to it, but I feel like I would need more of a clear vision around space repetition. I feel like it's there, that there's this it's an incredibly powerful tool, but I'm not sure that it's really been manifested in the right way, and I'm not super sure what that way needs to be. So, if anyone has any ideas on that or reflections on space repetition, how you think it should work, I'd love to hear it.
feel like you did have a very strong opinion on this a while ago, and that is why you started the app. That's why you started getting
I
into it.
I did, and I think the opinion that I had is still valid, which is I felt like using it was very difficult. There was a lot of friction in terms of adding things into the system and reviewing things. There was a lot of clunk. Anki is amazing and largely the pioneer of it, but it's also just sort of hard to use, and there's a lot of extra stuff that makes it difficult. So part of the vision was building something that's easy, that anyone can use it. It doesn't take quite as much thinking. It's much easier to review cards. And I think that's great, but it still leaves some big questions, like how do you manage the fact that things become less relevant to you over time, and how are you supposed to be reviewing this every day? Just I don't know. There's just some questions I still don't quite have answered.
Fair enough.
I mean, are you still
What about?
using space repetition?
Nope.
Right.
I mean, it's this the similar thing. I kind of wish that I was, but at the same time,
Right.
I don't, because it's another. It's just it's a hard
Yeah.
thing to keep up with in a
Yeah.
long term. So no, I'm not.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wish I was. Other
Yeah.
times I know that it just won't last. So what's the point of starting over? What
Right.
about your food logger app?
So Food Logger was a really fun app to build. I still use it. Not all the time, but I do still use it. And there's a whole list of features that I want to add, but it's also been a little bit backburnered. I've been working on some features that I haven't quite got finished yet, but the problem with that is that I have this vision for the future of local first, distributed personal media and data, and being able to essentially run your own service for whatever somebody chooses to build without needing any kind of central server or relying on anyone else, and not having to punch a hole in your router and set up a dedicated Docker thing, like something anybody could do. That's kind of my big vision. And the problem is that Food Logger, in order to build it, I had to create some new things and take it up to a certain point. But now most of the features that I want to do on Food Logger are not really part of taking that further and bringing me towards that dream of, this system that I want to build. So any time that I spend on it, at least right now, kind of feels like time that's just not really pushing the grand vision forward. And I've been focused on the stuff that does. So that's kind of why it's been a little bit idle. The other part of it too is that I have realized that there are 1 billion nutrition apps in the world, and there's a new one every day. And people don't really build nutrition apps. They have platforms where somebody, an influencer, whoever company shows up and says, make me an app that does nutrition and make it kind of styled in my branding. And then they just, you know, spit one
Right.
out. There's another one on the market. So it's just, there's just so many that it's very hard to do anything interesting or unique, or even if I did, like, to get much attention for it. So I am still proud of what I did, and I think it does do some things better than others, but in terms of trying to build out all the possible features, it's like that would just take so much, and I'm not sure anyone would ever care, and it's not super critical path anyway. So that's where I'm
Well,
at with
what are
that.
you doing that is critical path?
Well, I'm working with currently a lot of audio engineering type of stuff. I've the app that I'm working on next, there's the possibility I might try and do some kind of audio recorder transcriber type of thing, just because it's a fun kind of sub project. But the thing I really want to land is this ebook audiobook reader that I think we've described before,
Yeah.
where it will load and display, and you can read ebooks, you can also listen to audiobooks. It has on-device machine learning stuff that can take an audiobook and sync it with the ebook, so you could just switch off. You can point the camera at a physical book, it'll read the page, figure out where you're at in the ebook based on the physical book or the audiobook. So it just allows you to kind of move between all the different book media. And that's the big thing I'm working on, because that actually has a lot of the content or media management and sharing and everything that I want. Like, that kind of takes me towards this big idea of data that you control and can do what you want with and all that. So anyway, that's the big project right now.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
Can we sit on you for a second?
Sure.
Because well, I'm dealing with some of the same things that I'm about to criticize you for. And also, we
Sure.
spent a lot of time with you giving me advice last week, so I figured instead of me giving you advice, I'll just attack you a little bit. But if we look at all the things that you've done and are doing over the last couple years, or even before that, we have multiple apps you've built, and I don't need to remind you of these, but I will. You did uh, Beat Saber, or not Beat Saber, Beat Forge.
If I did Beat Saber, I would be done.
Yeah, yeah, you would. No, Beat Forge, which is dead.
Hmm.
Um, Bird Jumper, which is dead.
Hmm.
Unicycle Boy, which we did together, it's dead. And then we have Food Logger, which was a big deal about a year ago, but you've kind of shelved it.
Well, it's not
And
dead. It just hasn't really
not,
gotten a lot of feature updates. But yes.
it's not moving. It's just sitting there,
Yeah.
right? But which is forgivable, but it's not quite the grand vision you had for it. You sort of lost steam on that, so it's just
Hmm.
sitting there. And then you have the Space Repetition app, which was your number one most important thing that you were going to do,
Hmm.
and you've shelved it. Totally understand the reasoning and everything. Like, I totally get it. You have this now you're doing blog posts, which you're kind of not super invested in, which I think is kind of nice. You're just doing it when you can,
Yeah.
occasionally, whatever, but you're not, super passionate about it, which might be an indicator that it will last, that
Right.
it'll last long. Who knows? And then you have, and you've talked about this grand vision before with your website and connecting all of these apps in this, epic grand vision. I'm just what is going to keep this next app from meeting the same fate of your last 10?
Right. Well, so this could be just rationalization. Maybe I'm deluding myself, but at the outset, when I kind of embarked on the current journey, and I'm discounting all the old stuff that you mentioned, Beatforge and Unicycle Boy and all of that stuff, uh, was very fun, and I love doing all of it. Mostly the reason why those things are dead is that they pretty much did what they were supposed to. You know, they fulfilled the vision of the project. Unicycle Boy we could have taken farther, and I think that would have been great. But you know, they were complete in a sense. And then because they were built using a very poor choice of technology, mostly relying on Apple's very specific platforms, they kind of were killed and would take almost a complete rewrite in order to get them working again. So that's kind of why they died of old age, sort of. And you know, it just doesn't feel like it makes a ton of sense to try and bring those things back. The current stuff, the plan for all of this was not to focus so much on a singular application, but to build them in a very, very difficult way. I mean, the food logger app took 10 times as much work as it would have if I just built it like a normal person and used Firebase as a server and all that stuff. Instead, I have this crazy connection of like C code and a bridge that I've built that uses Flutter as an interface and all this stuff. Like I built it in the hardest way I could think of. But the the goal was don't focus so much on a singular app. Focus on building a system that I can use that has these fundamental pieces that I kind of link together. And if it all works the way I want it to, then it becomes actually pretty easy to create a new app that relies on those services. And the app should be cross-platform. It can run in a browser, it can run on an iPhone or an Android or a desktop or whatever. Flutter does a lot of that in terms of user interface, but all the other code is written in C and used as a library. So basically, from the beginning, the whole vision was to build up this core where I can kind of stamp out different projects and invest however much time into each one. But I'm not like just putting everything into one app, and then if it doesn't work, I have to start over and try something new. Every app that I've built, or even the ones that I haven't released, which is everything except for Food Logger, it still like has built out pieces of that core.
Okay.
So that's the theory. The obvious problem here is that if I never quite bring it all together, say I just completely run out of gas in 6 months or a year or whatever, and I never land what I'm thinking of, then it's just a colossal waste of time building up something that never sees a light of day. So I'm aware of that possibility. Like I've really front loaded all of the work and all of the complexity. And if it comes together, I think it'll be really cool. If not, then I wasted so much time.
Okay, so you're building the beams that run to the Dark Tower.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I never finished that series, but I think when I read half of it like 10 years ago, I think that's kind of how it worked. There was all these beams that ran to the Dark Tower.
Is
So you're
that
building
is
the beams. They are lining up. You just haven't strung them all
yeah.
together yet and built the
I
Dark
I
Tower.
read half of The Stand. Is that part of the Dark Tower series?
No.
Okay.
It, I mean, I think they're all sort of based in the same universe, but
Okay.
yeah. No. I haven't read The Stand yet. Anyway, okay. So you're more on track than it's a little different than just building an app and then giving up or right?
I I like to think so. I think there is some of that still. So I do want to acknowledge that I think there probably is a case for trying to get the space repetition thing cleaned up and released, but it's I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So for whatever it's worth, I am spending the maximum amount of time possible working on stuff. So I mentioned this. I have a project going with a friend who is trying to launch a business and build a product. So I'm working a whole bunch on that. So,
So leave you alone. You're doing fine.
well, I don't know if that's the case. It's Just because I'm working hard doesn't mean I'm doing the right things, but I am at least working hard.
I guess that's whatever. I don't know. I think I'm trying to. Oh, I just kicked my camera
Saw that.
and kick it back. Okay, there we go. Um, I think I'm sort of hoping that you're struggling with things because that seems to be what I'm struggling with. Is just what the hell
Well,
am I doing?
I mean, I might be struggling and not realizing it and just being deluded, which is probably worse. So, but let's talk about you. You were depressed last week, questioning the meaning of life and everything you do. Where has that settled?
Same place.
Okay, so not
It has
better.
lasted. It has lasted longer than I thought it would. I remember last week I was
Interesting.
telling you that it would be gone by the next day, and
Yeah.
it just
I
wasn't.
ins
I think.
I
Go
insisted it
ahead.
was a big deal, and I'm standing by that.
Well, maybe if you hadn't insisted, it would have gone away, but we'll never know.
Okay, fine.
No, I liked everything you said last week. I think, yeah, it just did not disappear as quickly as I thought it would. And then
Yeah.
I was thinking about it, and I don't think I had really, I don't think I've really taken a step back from the video stuff
Hmm.
since the first one. So just mentally, I'm trying to mentally pull back, get back to the drawing a bit, and then see if I can figure out a way to slowly bring back in the video stuff, like recording and, you know, writing a video and editing and all that stuff. See if I can slowly bring it back into the mix without it overtaking everything.
Right.
Does that sound like my style? No, not at all. I think what will happen is I'll draw for a little bit and then I'll get obsessed with editing again and then I'll do that. But yeah, I'm struggling switching from video edit YouTuber mode to quiet, calm artist mode. It's
Right.
just they are
Right.
different worlds, and trying to do them both and go full in on one and then full in on the other, it's like I can't do it. I can't go from that like obsessed, super hyperactive video editing and filming and doing all that stuff to then this super calm, quiet artist life. It's like they're just opposite worlds, and mixing them has been
Yeah.
very difficult.
That does make sense. Um, do you enjoy one more than the other?
I love them both. I mean, I always lean back on the problem being that I just don't have enough time to do the things that I want to do. So,
Yeah.
ideally, I would spend, probably 6, 8 hours a day drawing, and then the rest,
Right.
editing and doing normal life stuff or whatever. But that's not the case. It's, hour and a half, 2 hour block in the morning, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Well, hmm,
So, well, before you come up with my solution, um, yeah, I've just been trying to detox from all the social media stuff. So, like, I've been locking my computer in a little box, not locking, just putting it in a little box in the closet, and doing the whole phone plugged in thing and putting that in a cabinet, and just pulling away from all the checking,
yeah.
all that stuff.
I mean, when you say that the YouTube stuff is crazy and intense, is it the process of creating this stuff, or is it the social media slot machine part of it?
It's both. It is absolutely both. The the creating part of it is just frantic and crazy because especially when we have our deadlines. I mean,
Right.
I will have almost 100 little post-its of little B-roll ideas and different things to go out and film and to take care of and
Yeah.
reshoot all of your art. And so then it's setting up the whole cabinet with all the art stuff in it, laying it out, and then doing these little slow pans, then transferring footage, and then editing, and then re-editing, and then deleting the whole thing and starting over, and then picking the music, and then, it's super fun. Like
Yeah.
it's really fun. But it is, yeah, it drives you a little crazy, and then there's the posting stuff, and then, all the comments, then you're checking analytics, but outside of that, you're also watching other YouTube videos, trying to figure out, what do you
Mm,
like about this? How did they edit this kind of thing? And you just get into editing mode and video mode and YouTube world, and it's just,
yeah.
and then it coincides with all the slot machine social media toxic stuff as
Mhm.
well. Like all the beauty of it is mixed in with that as well, and so it just sort of all happens at once. So I don't know.
Yeah.
And some of it might just be novelty. I mean, it's so exciting right now, and that's because it's just recently became a real thing for me.
Right.
Whereas before, I knew it was never going to do well.
Yeah.
Uh, so I don't know. Maybe that'll calm down naturally. But
I mean, it's obviously super different, but I've been so happy with the limited amount of headspace that the blog has taken up.
yeah,
And part of it is just that I have not bothered or have sort of ideological objections to doing a bunch of tracking and Google Analytics and all that kind of stuff. But also, I because I just can't see that stuff. Literally, the most I can see, or there's two ways to try and you know see what's happening. One is to literally just type the name of my article into Google and see what comes up, which is the only way I know it's getting posted anywhere. And a lot of stuff is not being indexed. Like it's not really searching into Facebook or other social platforms. It's mostly just Hacker News and Mobsters and all the sites that just scrape content off of those sites. So there's not much. And then once every 24 hours, I get an update of like viewership on the page. And I don't even know which part of the website
yeah,
they're looking at or anything. That's all I get. So like there's no point in checking it all the time because nothing happens. So it's kind of amazing. And the only I mean, I might try and set up a comment section or something, but the only comments I get are people emailing me, which, that's cool. It's usually simple and just somebody saying, "Hey, I really liked this," and I can respond and say thanks. It's just like super limited. I can't see much. And so mentally, that's been great. Also, giving myself I spent some time thinking about what I want to write about, and there are ideas that I've been messing with. But in terms of the actual turning it into an article, again, way, way simpler than a video, obviously, but still, that process, I'm kind of giving myself just a couple days to do it, and it just has to be done. And I have my process for that where I just kind of write out all the little bits of information, the things that I think are interesting, get all that down, and then kind of morph that into the actual narrative form article, figure out, okay, I need to show 2 photos here, so make sure I get those figured out. It just feels more like a to-do list. It feels simple, and it's been great. It hasn't really messed with my mental capacity in other places very much. I don't know what that looks like for you or if it's even possible, but trying to get it down to where it's not going to wreck you is I
yeah.
think it's important.
And that's kind of the goal, I think. But at the same time, I mean, I love the creation process. I mean, it feels like another layer of art on top of the art,
It
which
is, absolutely.
also brings up the pressure a bit. And by a bit, I mean a lot.
Yeah.
And so I need to find a way of getting that down. I want to try out some different types of content. So like the last one, super, the most produced I could possibly handle.
Hmm.
All the audio is as best as I could possibly get. I'm using the best camera I can. I'm doing as much B-roll and random footage and whatever stuff I can throw into the video. Now it's like, okay, can I do a video where it's just really simple? Is that
Yeah.
Am I capable of doing that? And can I unlock sort of this other type of content that I can possibly do more frequently that
Yeah.
isn't
I
so yeah.
That was kind of going to be my suggestion. I think you absolutely should. Our other brother Steven released a video recently that I mean he did a lot of production and it looked amazing, but one thing I loved about it was that it was mostly a narrative form video. You've obviously seen it. But outside of the shots with the B-roll type stuff where it's very highly produced with drone shots, he does a lot where he's just filming himself talking. So it's mostly just him narrating, but he's on a golf cart or he's on this electric scooter thing, and it kind of creates this motion and nice backdrop and interest for just hearing him talk about something, similar to how they in movies and sitcoms when they need to get through a conversation, they'll just put people in a car and they're driving, and that just creates the sense of forward motion and visual interest. So anyway, I feel like ideas like that, where you could just talk a little bit or share some fragmented thoughts about the lore for this piece of art you're working on or whatever might be cool. You know, working on quality that doesn't take a ton of input in terms of getting the production up, where it just feels good, you know.
Right. So that is the plan. Exactly that. Is figure out what does that look like? How do I do that in a calm manner where the last video was supposed to be that. I sat down and just talked to the camera,
No, it's super
and
pleasant.
then I couldn't help it. It's like if
You
I say one word, I want to show some sort of shot of B-roll of that word. Whatever I'm talking about, I want to show it. And I just once you put a couple shots of B-roll in there, then the rest seems like it needs it. And then
Mhm.
you just start filling it up and then yeah, that's the most fun ever. Like that is the funnest part. But
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
that's what the last
obviously
one was supposed
you can do the big masterpiece short film productions, but I think just thinking about it calmly and figuring out constraints for what you want to do. Just think, okay, I
yeah.
want to show a thumbnail and an in progress sketch, and that's it. I'm not gonna light the room and do a whole thing with smoke and sound effects. Just show some basic stuff, do some talking, just communicate with your audience. I think a lot of obviously people enjoy the high production stuff. It's fun, it's energetic, it can bring people into the channel, but they're also just kind of interested in you and you as an artist, and having those moments where it's a bit slower and you can just talk more directly to somebody without a ton of jump cuts and all that snappy YouTubey type stuff. Just be a little bit more personable. Like, it might not get as many views, it might not appeal to the broader audience, but it can deepen the connection with the people that you do have, and I think there's a ton of value in that. So
Yeah, yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. That's what I got to do. And I'd like to do it pretty soon. But we can talk about that next week. This week is all about not worrying about that.
have you been doing any
Okay.
better sleeping and eating and
Yes. Yeah.
being healthy?
I've
That's
been
good.
I'm back on my morning routine. So at least for the last 4 days or so, I've been
Good.
getting up at my 5:30 and doing my stuff, which is good. But
That's good.
it has not been as instant as I wanted it to. Like I thought that when I got back onto it, because it's been about a month and a half since I've been doing my morning routine, and if you recall, it was going so well before,
Oh, I know.
and then during the month and a half, it was going awfully, like, I got sick maybe 3 times, I was super stressed and things were terrible. So, getting back onto my morning routine with those beautiful mornings before going to work and throwing the rest of the day away, I thought that I would instantly be super happy again and
Hmm.
energetic and feeling great, but it has not been the case, and it's made me question what's going on. There's definitely some sort of psychological shift going on uh, with possibly you whenever you start a project, the beginning is tough and whatever you start building things up, but then I'm making this up as I go, but as you're building it, it at first you're on this trajectory of a sense of discovery. You don't know what it is yet, and you're just sort of each new good thing. Wow, I guess it's just really exciting. Oh, I guess I'll release a YouTube video, the first one ever. Or oh, I just did my fourth piece of art, and it's better than the other three that I did, and it's really cool. And so each new thing is just this huge sense of discovery, and it's really exciting. But at some point, it starts to become like I think you sort of reach your not your peak, but you reach the highest level that can easily be met, right? So if when you first start getting back into working out, it's hard as whatever, and then you start gaining a lot really fast, and then you sort of hit the ceiling, and then to get that any higher, it takes a lot more work, and it's not as exciting. and it's much more about a long game and like the dedication but with the art stuff, I think I've sort of hit that with all of these things. Doing the sketchbook thing. It was each new piece is kind of this new discovery, and then I'm making YouTube videos on it and whatever, and it's like I've hit my not my peak, but like I've hit my limit of what I can physically do in a day. And also, I kind of know after 3 or 4 YouTube videos, it's like this is what they are for the foreseeable future. Like this is it. Like this is as much as I can possibly handle right now. And so there's just this level of like mental, I don't know, mental sink of oh, like I've hit the roof of what I can do in a day. And to do anything more, it's just going to be a lot more work. And it's
Hmm.
at least that's the feeling. Is it may not be true, but it feels like my art's not going to be 100 times better because I'm not able to put, a whole lot more time into it. In fact, it's probably going to get worse because I'm spending half my time now on the YouTube stuff. My YouTube videos aren't going to get astronomically better because I don't have the time to throw in more work towards them. It's like
Yeah,
like the discovery has dwindled. The it's just I'm settling in more than discovering. And having to pull back more than get excited. And so there's
right.
just this mental acceptance of that I'm trying to go through, I think. I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah. I mean, I like comparing it to lifting. I like to make that comparison all the time, but I think uh it does illustrate some things. Like I call it the red zone, where if I'm trying to get stronger, it takes some prep, it takes weeks, maybe even months of ramping things up and lifting heavier and heavier. And then you start to get into that point where, 1 week I lift more than I have ever lifted before. And the next week you push it again, and you just like keep really pushing right at that edge of doing something really difficult and then doing something really difficult again. And it's very exciting. When you PR, it feels incredible. Like you're telling people about it, and you're, on cloud nine for a while. But you could only stay in the red zone for so long before you just have to stop. And then there's a bit of a reset where I take a break, do nothing, and then lift, very sub maximally for a while, where I'm just kind of ramping back up. It's well short of my limits, and eventually get back to it. And I think it's probably a good way to think about it, in that you've obviously pushed really hard. And in terms of skill, like apparent skill level, production value, all of that, to the outsider, it's clear that you achieve new things with your YouTube storytelling and, your skill as a content creator and editor and all of that. Like that's just what happened. But you cannot sustain that, like you're saying. So I think you need to just dial it back to where you are doing sub maximal lifts. You're creating stuff that you already know how to do. It's well inside of your skill set. You're not pushing boundaries. You're not right on the ragged edge. You're just kind of like doing a job where you're going to do a
Yeah.
video and it's going to be simple, and you're not going to have to come up with new ideas. And, the art can be like that too. Like obviously you're trying to get better as an artist, but you can't always be getting better and pushing your skills. You might just have to crank out some art as if somebody paid you to make 10 drawings of something, and you just kind of got to get it done, and you just use the skills that you already have to do it. It's just a job. And as much as that isn't that exciting, I think it's super necessary and just part of the deal. Like it is part of the reset, in that it can help you get back to the point where you are in the red zone again. But you just you can't be in the red zone all the time.
The red zone sounds like a bad thing. Sounds like the danger zone.
It is.
But it's It's the pushing your limits zone. It's the exciting thing. So it should be like the green zone or the.
But it is the
All right.
danger zone. It's where you
Yeah.
you worry about hurting yourself or, getting completely
Okay.
fried.
All right. That's accurate.
Yeah. I mean,
Because last time I was editing the video, I'm up till 4:30 in the morning.
and you
You know,
literally got
before I
sick.
like 3 times. Yes.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Which I am still a little bit worried about. I think if that happens again, you got to go to the doctor.
I think I will make that deal. Yeah.
Okay. Good. Glad we're there.
Yeah. All right. Let's cap it there. Unless you got more to say.
No, I got to go soon anyway. So chill this week?
Yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
I want to say one more thing.
Okay.
Everything I just said, if you had said it, I would critique you for it, or I would criticize you for it. Because I just spun a story, right?
Mhm.
Oh, my YouTube stuff did well, so now I know what it's like. Oh, I did, 5 pieces of art, so I know where I'm at, whatever. This is all story crafting, which we've talked about is a bad, dangerous thing. It's a red zone of storytelling, whatever.
Yeah.
It's the story is made up in that the next drawing I do is its own thing. It exists in itself. It's not connected to anything else I've ever done in my entire life. It can be its own thing.
Mhm.
The story can be out of the blue. It can be totally different than anything else. The next video I make can be completely fresh, done in a totally new way. It doesn't have to be connected. The progress doesn't have to line up in some story or whatever. I am spinning a story, and I think that's where I'm failing. I think that's what is tripping me up, and what I need to get back to is the resetting every day. Every day is its own thing. And this could be a whole nother episode, but
Yep.
that's what was going so well is I was getting so good at letting go of the story and not worrying about that. And when you're doing that, letting go of the story regularly, you're seeing everything through this lens of just this sense of discovery. Everything is just kind of new and fresh. And I think where I'm failing right now is crafting this story of, oh, I did good on YouTube for one one video, and then now the rest are just kind of whatever, and I don't know how the rest is gonna go, but for some reason I think that I do.
Right.
Anyway,
I completely agree. And I think, yeah, you are building a story and you don't want to buy into it too much because it's very self-reinforcing. At the same time, if you wake up in the morning and you just feel kind of run down and not motivated to do stuff, respect that. It doesn't have to be a story. It doesn't have to be like, oh, this is because this or that. It's just kind of where you're at, and that is a real place where you can be. You can wake up and feel incredible and inspired, and just you can't wait to throw yourself at whatever you want to do. And you can also wake up and be like, man, I'm just not feeling it. And you could wake up the next day and also still not be feeling it. And it's just a place that you're at. It could be good old fashioned depression or just fatigue or whatever. But do exactly what you kept yelling at me to do, which is go on the artist state, do more of the artist way, do whatever you want. But like all of the stuff that charges you up, gets your head in the right place, where you start getting to where you just can't wait to do it again, do all of that. Don't just expect yourself to. This is a perseverative error. It's don't just expect your mind to work the way it was a week ago. It's not this constant everyday always can flip it like a switch thing. You kind of have to earn that, and you may need to get back to it and be patient about it. So yeah, don't tell yourself a story. Just listen to your body, listen to your mind, and respect it and do what you need to do to take care of yourself.
okay,
Okay.
well said.
Cool. All right. I got to go. Let's leave it at that.
Okay, bye.
Okay. Thanks everybody.